Fontana, California brings West Coast racing back to the Integrity Ignite Series with a classic on the schedule. We've gone to the Auto Club Speedway multiple times before. This is our third trip in 3 years, and it's great to come back to the 2-mile venue where it all began for our Speedway action with the Integrity Ignite Series. Welcome back to exclusive coverage of the Integrity Racing League live on FTN. Tonight, we're back, as we mentioned, on the West Coast, and all the way in California, we are back here at the Auto Club Speedway. While the circuit no longer exists in the real world, it has become one of the staple races on our schedule, and for the second year in a row, we have come to this circuit with more than 45 drivers registered. Matter of fact, more than 50 drivers will be taking the green flag tonight. Let's just hope that all of them can come away scot-free. With that said, let's get things moving. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. It's wonderful to return to the Auto Club Speedway with good conditions and a healthy car count. Last week, Jack Drucker, the rookie, was the man who got the job done in Daytona in his first ever race amongst a field of 57 other competitors. Currently, drivers are taking their qualifying times as we take a look downstairs. Rob Ackley finds himself on the pole position. DJ Stagner is in second. Stagner's one to watch at this circuit. He's one of the best drivers at those big tracks. We saw him Thursday night in the Highline Racing League dominate, and his team ended up winning the Daytona 200 in that series. Tonight going to be a little bit longer, coming in at 240 miles, but rest assured that Swamp Motorsports crew is due to be quick. At the top of the board, though, goes Braxton Weiss, and now Michael Araya, the 44, in his first ever Ignite Series season, of course, coming on as an Octane Series defending champion and a rookie on the Monday nights. Well, he's already up to the top himself. He's going to have a 5,000th of a second advantage over Braxton DeWeese and Tyler Hensley. Hensley going to find himself now inside the top 5. Jared Davis gets up to second. Jared backs it down, heads to pit road. Matthew Thunhorse puts it P1, 40.474. It's an exciting night of racing as multiple drivers make their first non-Daytona appearances in the Integrity Racing League, including defending race winner Jack Drucker. That's one you got to keep an eye out for. And, of course, many other rookies. A few inside the top 10, including Jared Davis and Tanner Tallarico. Tim Rogers as well in the number 80. Nevertheless, Thunhorst is at the pole position. Rogers is backing it down. It looks like we've gotten to the tail end of our qualifying session, and drivers are about comfortable with the laps they've set. 46th place sits Cal Filarski. Don Runkle right now going to be 49th on the order in that 00. Adam Blattel, our newest driver, registered now in 51st as Vinny Tigner comes across the way. Tigner last year in Saturday Night Thunder came away with a victory at this venue, so I wouldn't be surprised that this next lap is going to be rather competitive. First lap for Vinny comes in 18th place. Still a little bit of work to do. By all means, he's in the mid-pack and the upper mid-pack, but I'm sure he would like a little bit more than that. Looks ever so slightly faster through turns 1 and 2, and it looks like it should be just enough pace to bring forth for perhaps a top 15 qualifying effort. He's a 10th and a half off the pole position as it stands, so any minor gains will mean a big deal for each and every position. At the stripe for Vinny Tigner, not enough. He'll sit 19th as Tom Wetmore gets back on the track. Wetmore in the 69, won in the Octane Series, although he grabbed the pole position last Monday night. Still, a victory and a pole across both series and third place in qualifying so far. But it looks like it'll be the number 8 of Matthew Thunhorse with the pole position from Fontana tonight. We've got a total of 54 drivers registered, our third highest attendance ever for one race, and our most for a non-superspeedway event. A wonderful statistic to hit in the Integrity Racing League, our biggest ever 2-mile race when it comes to field size. Drivers heading onto the starting grid in just a few minutes' time. We're taking a look on pit road here, and as you can see, drivers getting on their way. Let's get to know that starting grid, however. I'll tell you this much, it's quite the big one. The inside of row number 1, we already discussed it, and it's the number 8 at the pole position. That is Matthew Thunhorst. Thunhorst with a 40.474 takes it to the inside of row number 1. He'll find himself on pole with Jared Davis in second and Tom Wetmore, P3 in the number 69. Michael Araya will start in fourth, and both defending champions inside the Super 6 tonight. Laraya P4, Braxton DeWeese, the number 1, starting in fifth. Tyler Hensley, his very first outing here at Auto Club where he qualifies inside the top 20, gives him a qualifying spot of 6th. Then from there, you've got the 7th place driver just beyond the confines of the front field. That's Michael Stroll, the number 3, and Tanner Tallarico, the rookie, will be in 8th. Sam Nieto will be P9, and Tim Rogers will conclude the top 10. That's the number 80 of Rogers. You'll see him there on the outside of row number 5. Nick Tarbuck will be in 11th, and Thomas Bressi will be in 12th, as 13th place is then and there going to be the driver, the number 9, Justin Morton. So another JTM driver just behind his teammate, the 24. Rob Ackley, the number 22. That's the man at 14th. DJ Stagner ends up P15 as Cole Freilich starts in 16th. Brent McClendon going to be the number 11 tonight. 17th. Ronnie Osmer, podium finish last week. He's 18th to kick it off tonight. P19 on the order. Then from there will be Vinny Tigner. Jack Drucker will be 20th. Michael Krobach, Jacob Fife, that's 21st and 22nd, with P23 to Gael Brooks and 24th to Blake Gordon. A little bit further on the way, you're going to see 25th place. That's Vinny Tigner. Passed away, though. You'll see there he got passed up. It will be Paul Mikolajczyk then in that P25. 26th is Andrew Hamilton. Don Stevenson is 27th. Nicholas Ward will be P28 with P29. Brendan Bernhardt and Matt Press rounding out the top 30. From here on out, you have Eric McFarland, Kyle Cooper, Josh Christman, Chad Mikas, Robert Painco, and Cody Smith. Then to end the top 40, you're going to have these following drivers: Cannon, Wood, Dinsmore, and Gallagher. Then you have Daco Parka, Brian McFerrin. Further on back, Casey Shue, Will Riker, John Steele, Cole DeRosiers, Daniel Foss, and Sebastian Miller. To end the top 50, Scott Eckrich, Cal Filarski, Don Runkle, and the last drivers, Adam Blattel, Andrew Schaub, Boomer Logan. And that is it. 54 drivers registered, a massive starting grid. The number 8 sits on the pole position. That, of course, is Matthew Thunhorst. Drivers, of course, Tom Wetmore taking the practice times right now, and Jack Drucker. Drucker coming back with a reason to be confident, of course. That number 56 coming away with a major win last week. Monday night, the Daytona International Speedway saw 58 drivers. Drucker was the winning man. In his first ever points-paying start, Jack took it to victory lane. And that's something very few drivers have ever done in their Ignite Series careers. And to add to the fact that he was facing off against so many other rookies, it makes it that much more impressive. Drucker currently sits P2 on the qualifying order, and it looks like we talk about the warm-up order, where he sits second. He does find himself in the top half of the field once again, but some work to do to catch up to those front runners in practice and qualifying. Gael Brooks is looking strong in this warm-up session. So far, it looks about 20 drivers have taken a time, so just under half the field. Not everyone's going onto the circuit for this final 5-minute run. And then from there, of course, everyone's going to be put together again. We saw 100 laps of racing last season when we went to the Auto Club Speedway. That was a week that was dominated by a driver who didn't show up again for the rest of the season in Justin Trombley. Trombley made his way into the Ignite and Octane series as a rookie, and as he did so, he ended up one of the quickest drivers at the Auto Club Speedway overall. Trombley won this event last season, so rest assured we're going to have a new race winner, but it could be any one of the guys you're seeing on screen. Tom Wetmore's feeling confident for sure, the 69, fastest in final practice, and he's going to find that quick time of 40.629. Trombley, last time around, competed against a total of 45 drivers. We saw 45 drivers, more than 45, a total of 3 times last season. Daytona, Auto Club, and the NASCAR SuperSpeedway. The rest of the season saw give or take 30 drivers on average until the end of the campaign. We saw as low as 18, but an average of about 30 for each and every race. So tonight is pretty big when you think about it. We're going from 58 down to 54, a very small decrease. And considering the magnitude of the field, well, it's an exciting time to be in the Integrity Ignite Series. Big track, of course, a lot of cars, and we're looking forward to some great racing. Last week was a 300-mile spectacle. We had to start the race about a half hour late on account of some technical difficulties, but the qualifying order and procedure has changed in case you're not aware. Top 30 drivers are automatically locked into each session. Right now, we're looking at Jared Davis, the driver in the number 19. He was one of those who was locked in based on the points-paying situation. Your top 30 will make it into every race automatically. However, if you're outside the top 30, you will have to race your way in. We capped the field at 60 for a 2-mile and above event. We capped the field at 50 for an intermediate race, and we capped the field at 40 for a short track event. That is the rule of the land here in the Integrity Ignite Series, and that's how it's going to be for the coming races. Matthew Thunhorst, it's number 8, undoubtedly one of the best drivers in terms of this series historically, and he's looking to show the field again that he is far from done when it comes to his winning ways. Thunhorst, the multi-time winner in both 2024 and 2025, happens to be a road course ace. That's going to come in handy when we go to the Circuit of the Americas very soon. But additionally, he also is well-versed in oval racing. With the help of teammates such as Dustin Morton and Thomas Bresci, JTM is one of the dominant crews in integrity action. Number 8 up in front tonight, you can expect the number 24 and, of course, that number 9 to get up in front further in the mix. Jared Davis, we've mentioned he's one of the best acclaimed drivers in terms of amateur pro sim racing. 6,500 I rating, and the average I rating of your guys in the top 4 is about 6,000. Only one of these men has an I rating under 5,000. That's Wetmore with a 47.42. The other 3 have more than 6,000 to their name. Well-acclaimed, strength in numbers, anything you can think of, we've got it tonight. Welcome back to the 2-mile spectacle in Fontana, California. The Auto Club Speedway comes alive, and Matthew Thunhorst brings the field to the green flag. Caution is out. Yellow flag on the day. Back of the field, going to see some trouble. And so, unfortunately, we're already pacing as drivers get themselves up to grips. Looks like Robert Painco going to be one of the guys who got back on the way. And you can see right there, it's the number 48, the man we have to focus on. Nevertheless, the front of the field got through, but a lap 1 incident brings us all the way back. Caution's out for the first time tonight. Let's take a look back to the tail end and see exactly what happened. Unfortunately, issues coming in very early for the field, and here's the instant replay. We're going to try to take a wider angle to show you where it all began, and it started with the 33 of Eric McFarland there, and you can see that nasty hit is where it all kicked off. We're going to take our cameras right toward it here. McFarland is already 1 lap down, and it looks like currently on pit road. So there's Robert Painco, but it began with Eric McFarland. These are the drivers coming toward the green flag to kick off the night. So we're taking it back from the beginning because it looks like this was a turn 1 incident, and it turned into quite the big one. Unfortunately, with no faster pair, it'll take a few drivers out. Nancy Wetmore in the chat room, of course, rooting for Tom Wetmore. Wetmore was very strong last week. He's off to a good start here, but it looks like Roadhouse Racing might be seeing some troubles. The 33 was there with Chad Mikas and company, Blake Cannon as well, and as Eric went into turn 1, Cannon went low, and it looks like McFarland loose up the track, hitting Cody Smith and Adam Wood, and the yellow flag came out. That was for about 38th place at the time of incident, so we'll go back live here because it looks like multiple others have headed down to pit road as a result of the kerfuffle. Andrew Schaub making his way in. That's the number 86, currently scored in P50. All the while, we'll look back up to the front of the field and show you what's going on as we get assembled for our first restart on the night. Currently, Robert Painko is going to be the lucky dog driver, missing the start and getting back on the way as soon as the green flag flew. Thunhorst is your top dog after Eric McFarland goes around collecting Cody Smith and pinwheeling into the back of the field. Restart coming at lap number 5, so some unfortunate early troubles. The end goal from here is to get into a rhythm, and when we get in those rhythms, it's very hard to break it. A lot of drivers, so we're expecting those initial starts and restarts to be hectic, to say the very least. 54 drivers taking to the track tonight, the most we've ever had at Auto Club Speedway, and the most we've ever had at a track not named Daytona. The second biggest ever Integrity Racing League event was a 55-driver spectacle in the Octane Series. We saw that in 2024, so overall, attendance-wise, this is the third biggest race ever. Very close to hitting those numbers, but a slight difference. Nevertheless, on a smaller track, it's a huge accomplishment, but we see some drivers paying the price already. Painko gets back on the way. All the while, Cody Smith is now a lap down. More than that, in fact. It looks like now a few other drivers still waiting on pit road here. Eric McFarland, of course, of interest, and it looks like he is done for the day, while Cody Smith now gets on the move. Back to your leaders. Rogers finding himself inside the top 10 even still, and it's of course Matthew Thunhorst, the driver, looking to get it done. He's at the front of the field, and the number 8 will lead us once again. Restart, lap number 5. Thunhorst in control. The green flag and a fly this time through. Jared Davis, Tom Wetmore, and of course Braxton Deweese all still connected as we say hello to restart number 1. Hopefully this time by we can get away with a little bit more of that green flag racing, but unfortunately that is never a guarantee. The number 8 of Thunhorst is going to grab a gear on the outside. He's your control car once again. Green flags out. The number 8 brings us through. Flag lap of the night, it'll be Matthew Thunhorst who gets away with the race lead. The top 10 remains rather familiar. Overall, drivers have decided not to go down to pit road for that first run. Looks like it doesn't have any meaning or any worth to do so amazingly early. Luckily, it means we're going to have a lot of time here just to get into a rhythm. No limitations when it comes to fuel cell tonight, 100% capacity. So we're expecting runs to be anywhere from 30 to 35 laps overall, with 120 laps on the table. 3 pit stops seems like a very fair estimate. Typically, we see about 2 or 3 more than that, depending on how many yellow flags we have. 110 laps last time we went to this circuit. That was when Justin Trombley got the job done and got his first and only. Ignite Series race victory. Trombley was able to sweep that week. He was so dominant at the Auto Club Speedway, and interestingly enough, just never came back. He was in the all-black number 34, and he controlled that event. Trombley won over DJ Stagner, and the third-place man, who is leading the race right now, in, of course, Matthew Thunhorst. Thunhorst started that night. If you take a look at the statistics, he found himself in the qualifying position, which was not the race lead. Matter of fact, he found himself several spots off. Well, he made his way to P3, 2 seconds off on the day, and as it stands, he has the race lead, so experience, it does count. Looking a little bit further back, second place Braxton Deweese, he finished 11th in that event. We had a total of 4 yellow flags last time we were in Fontana. We've already gotten 1. Hopefully we don't see all too many from here, but keep in mind, that was still with more than 40 drivers, and they were able to keep it, for the most part, clean. 12 laps under yellow. And that was leaving the field, of course, with 98 under green. So the goal is to replicate that, maybe even do it a little bit better. Braxton Deweese now to the race lead. Thunhorst is going to take it to the high side. The number 8 going to lay back here and let the field do its thing. As you would see, all the way down to guys like Gael Brooks and company, we're looking at, for the most part, the top 43. All the way back there is Sebastian Miller. Miller finding himself right now running in the fight for 43rd exactly. Now tonight, you might notice a few more drivers on the track compared to Daytona. The Auto Club Speedway a little more generous to our FTN Broadcasting system, so we're focusing on the entire field. You might notice telemetry outside the top 35 is slightly inaccurate, but one retiree confirmed that unfortunately, he's in the chat room right now, and Eric McFarland, and we're hoping for better races, of course, to kick things off in 33. It's now Eric's got that front row seat watching what's going on from here. Matthew Thunhorst might no longer have the front-running spot, but it's going to be a battle now between Jared Davis, and it looks like Davis with the advantage over Braxton Deweese. To the point, there goes the number 19. Coming on strong. It looks like right now Jared Davis taking to the high side. His first ever chance to lead some laps here in the Ignite Series without, of course, SuperSpeedway strategy. And it looks like right now when it comes to race pace, number 19 definitely keeping the field honest here. There's Tom Wetmore in the 69. He's still there running P3. Just inside the podium fight. Wetmore going to bide his time here as we take a ride on board once again. The 69 has all the reasons to push. Right now, there's one extra reason not to. You got to keep that equipment. One faster pair, we don't even have that. It's what you begin with, it's what you end with. The only car you get, and while you could repair some damage, it'll slow you down along the way. So the 69 right now, Wetmore decides to keep things calm and collected, rather than intruding upon the fight, which is happening just ahead. Michael Araya takes it up to the ceiling of the circuit as well. There comes the number 44, and he might be looking for a top 2 position. Side by side now with Jared Davis, a nice run out of turn 2, and he's got speed, and he's carrying himself real nice now into the final 2 turns. Mid-pack seeing some good fighting as well. There's Tim Rogers, Nicholas Ward, Drucker, Justin Morton, among others. And Hornets Nest right now largely going to be 2x2. Although we have a lot of groove here to be used at the Auto Club Speedway, you won't often see drivers going 3 wide or beyond, simply because we have so much time on the table. Wasting time with these aggressive maneuvers would be a very bad decision. Up high, there goes the number 16 again. That's Andrew Hamilton, looking for a move perhaps on the top 20. He would try to get up there. There's contact. It's the 47 of Don Stevenson. Big trouble. Stevenson and company. The caution is out. They're still hitting each other, and the yellow flag is thrown. Second of the day. And it looks like caution 2 at lap 13. Contact for Stevenson brings out the yellow flag. Take a look back and you'll see. Instant replay will show you with the number 40 score of course, Araya up in front. The 47 of Don Stevenson found himself in the mid-pack. And Contact coming out of turns 1 and 2 made the difference. Wiggling after a little bit of a contact with Jacob Fife, then up into Michael Krobach. Krobach ends up spinning, and Stevenson was sliding to begin with. Josh Christman gets some contact as well. And there you have it, the 47 down and in. There goes more contact. Driver sliding to the inside of the circuit. And you saw there the number 10 diving deep. That was Daco Parka. Stevenson, Fife, among others. The yellow flag's out for the second time today. And a very quick yellow flag given start of the race under yellow with that lap 1 incident. And it has happened once more. Back up front, Michael Stroll right now, right there with the iRacing official pace car. The number 3 is your race leader. And it looks like with them, Michael Araya and company. So Araya in the 44, Michael Stroll, both of which got the top positions. And they're still on their original stint when it comes to pit strategy. Leaders have decided to stay out, not opting in just yet to pit road. Restart number 2 will be coming in at lap number 17 here with Laraya staying up in front. You'll see Michael Stroll making a big move up and ahead, and his track position game has only been increasing throughout the night. Starting inside the top dozen, Michael Stroll was just outside the top 10 with respect to qualifying, and now is a real opportunity to make some waves in this front-running groove. He won in Michigan 2023. He won at Pocono 2024. The big tracks come naturally to this number 3, and I think that's going to be one of his suits of strength tonight. Even though he might have not gotten the top 5 qualifying spot, he started close enough to the front runners in the field where he could avoid some of the early issues, and now has a real opportunity to keep company up ahead without worrying all too much about strategy. While some drivers did decide to go down a pit road, not all too many up at the front have done so. It looks like Michael Krobach is currently going to be down and in and getting back on the way. And Don Stevenson, more of the same in that number 47 there. Andrew Schaub, also in timing and scoring, just came through. To the front of the field, Michael Araya and Michael Stroll will be your control cars. Michael, it looks like, well, they're both Michael, but Araya anyway, looks like he's going to keep himself on the bottom. Stroll goes up high, and so your control car in the number 44 will be ducked down low into turn 1 next time through. Braxton DeWeese debuting a brand new paint scheme on the season. He's going to be running that red, white, and black. Number 1 is his alternate paint scheme throughout the campaign. This Chevrolet Camaro saw much success as the number 13 last season, but now with sponsorship from Adrenaline, Braxton Luis bringing multiple brand new looks to the racetrack, along with his brand new number. Defending champion, having the honor of wearing that number 1 and fighting to keep the championship throne as his. Currently, not off to a bad start, of course, locking himself into the top 30 in points to start this season, of course, and get this race going easily, and now finds himself running 3rd alongside Jared Davis. He was very much in the fight for the lead just before the caution flew. Pace car ducks low, second restart of the night. Hopefully from here on out that rhythm comes into play. Still a lot of laps to work with here, just over 100 as the green flag flies once more. A little bit of stack up on the outside groove with Michael Stroll leading the way, but Michael Araya gets the advantage of a full car length and a half. Braxton Luis tries to follow. Mid-pack is stacked up. DJ Stagner up high. 4 wide for a brief moment there with Blake Cannon and Vinny Tigner. Luckily, it looks like everyone gets away here, but that antsy moment, it and goes time and time again. Some drivers trying to force the issue. Blake Cannon gonna lie back, mind his business here, and let it happen 3 wide up ahead. But when you're in the middle of that hornet's nest, it's very hard not to go out there for position, knowing what's just ahead of you. Justin Morton goes up to the high side. There's the number 9, looking for a move, can't quite get it. All the while, Tigner in the number 12 is just ahead. You're watching aboard here. Still, decisions have to be made. Nick Tarbuck and company still fighting. DJ Stagland right there, too. Blake Cannon, he's still in the mist. All the while, Sam Nieto's gotten himself up into the fight for the top 10. Nieto's getting real close now to Thomas Bresci. Just made a pass on him through the inside of the circuit. And he's looking for Cole Fralick up next. Cole right now going to be running P9. Making some gains without a doubt, that number 15. And this Toyota Supra looking to prove what he's got. A well-known competitor in esports spaces. And he's made a choice, of course, to come down for his very first Integrity Ignite Series season. A rookie brought over by the likes of FTF Grand National competitor Tom Wetmore. And wonderful to have these new drivers joining the fray and taking a chance in the Integrity Racing League and figuring out what exactly there is to offer here in this league. With 50-plus drivers, of course, a little bit of that growing pain to start the night, but now we're really hoping to get the good racing through. As it stands, it looks like it's going to be Michael Araya with the perfect opportunity to come across the line, keep the race lead, and hang on up in front once again. Araya, Deweese, Matthew Thunworth positions 1, 2, 3. Michael Stroll falls back to 4th, but he's still right there in the top 5 conversation. Riding aboard now with Tom Wetmore, we take a look and see whether or not there's any saving in terms of fuel being done by a driver. In the front of the field or the back, usually the leaders are the best indicator at a track like Auto Club. We don't see any of that super speedway style drafting. However, the entire field is a pack, more or less. So it's often most important for the field to listen to and follow the guide of the leading drivers here. So it looks like, and it sounds like anyway, Tom Wetmore is still pedal to the metal. Looks to be full on when it comes to his driver telemetry, and I don't think we're going to see any significant changes to that unless, of course, we go for a long green flag run. Odds are that pit road's going to get busy in the next coming 20-30 laps, and we're going to see the entire field come in once. Of course, for some drivers, it could be their second time. That's going to come up before the halfway marker of this event, which is, of course, lap number 60. So we're going to have one cycle, about 40 laps, this opening one. Then we'll have our next, and then we'll have our final, all spaced out by some 35, 40 lap intervals tonight to make sure the entire race is split even into those thirds. Braxton Deweese to the inside of Michael Araya here. Still no dice to number 44, not giving up. However, it looks like Braxton with a much better run coming out of turns 1 and 2. It's this fight that's going to continue on not only for the leading places, but for the entirety of the pack here. Don't expect it to be relentless, but it's going to be a constant back and forth. Drivers shuffling inside and outside of the top 10. Someone like Thomas Bresci or Cole Fralick, they're both right on each other to stay inside the top 10 for now. And it looks like absolutely these two will continue to do battle. Top 15 drivers like Nick Ward or Jack Drucker here. Drucker, of course, getting that big victory in Daytona, which means he doesn't have to be the strongest of drivers to make his way into the playoffs from here. And he's got a lot to learn in that number 56, as it looks like now Ward gets sent up high. 97 in the wall, comes back down. Little bit of contact, big contact. Jack Drucker goes, and the 56 spins. Caution is out. Third time today. And this time by, we saw it unfold right in front of us and live. Jack Drucker involved. Here's an instant replay. We'll show you what happened one more time here, but it was pretty evident. Ward going up high caused a little bit of a chain reaction, and those reactions didn't turn out to be too great. Ward sent up top, then he came back down low, hit Jack Drucker. Chad Mikas dodged it, but the 56 ends up sliding after that contact with the 97 there. So Drucker goes around almost fully, luckily gets himself back together, minor damage if anything, but the 56 and 97 were the only two involved in that shuffle. Thomas Bressi finding himself now inside the top 10, getting right by Cole Fralick at the time of incident. See now, the race leader still scored as Braxton DeWeese in the number 1. Braxton this time around has the incentive to come down to pit road. Third caution, it looks like it's about time to invest in some new rubber. It'll be Braxton DeWeese, Michael Araya, and of course, have then Matthew Thunhorst, 1, 2, 3. Tom Wetmore looks like he's going to stay out on track and save his stuff for a little while longer. Nevertheless, of course, now gets very busy for the first time. Pit road drivers making their way through. County of San Bernardino advertised on those iRacing screens just beside pit road. A lot of great things going on the iRacing platform, and of course having the Auto Club Speedway is one of them. Logan Detweiler in the chat room, we miss you, Auto Club. I think all of us do. The 2-mile track, 25 years, one of our fan favorites, and unfortunately it's been all but fully demolished. The only thing that exists is what you're seeing on your screen right now, the front stretch and pit road. The rest of it is entirely gone, and space has been made for some warehouses. Looks like racing is never coming back to the Fontana area, at least in the same capacity as we see it now. It looks impossible. Horrible to say, but it looks like it's very unlikely that it will ever return the way we see it now. This 2-mile track, of course, very similar to that of the Michigan International Speedway, almost a West Coast clone of that venue. While Michigan has been around for significantly longer, going back to the 1960s, this circuit came to rise in 1996 and saw 25 plus seasons of Cup Series action. Its last ever race in the NASCAR Cup Series, and hence the Xfinity and Truck Series, was 2022, which was the first race here with the Next Gens. Unfortunately, ever since that point, Auto Club Speedway doesn't exist. There's no way to return to what it once was. The most accurate replica exists here on iRacing, laser scanned, millimeter precise, and so the racing surface is accurate to when the circuit was put down, shall we say, and demolished a few years ago. And that is something that's going to cause much trouble. That's also why we've seen drivers sliding up and down the circuit. It happened with Nicholas Ward, and I think that's what sparked the yellow flag. Drivers going up and down the circuit, they are searching for grip, something that is very hard to find at this track. And for Nicholas Ward in particular, as he went up the circuit, no choice but to let it happen. Fighting it would cause a bigger issue. Unfortunately there, Drucker, a Daytona winner, already finding himself on the back foot with that incident. He's back on the circuit, of course, but very far from winning contention, at least for the time being. Nicholas Ward does get back on the way, though. He's currently running outside the top 30, looking for a chance to keep on fighting despite the wreck. Tom Wetmore hangs on as your race leader. He is the control car, and for the second time tonight, out of the 3 restarts we've had, the leader chooses the high groove as their control lane. Field gets going once again. Inside, not well, but the outside gets it through. Car length advantage for Tom Wetmore, and it's accordion stack-ups for both grooves behind him. Looks like now with Wetmore in control, it'll be Tanner Tallarico, the rookie, getting the opportunity to push and shove all the way at the front. Matthew Thunhorst trying to make his way back very quickly here. 3 wide on the bottom. You got Blake Cannon up high. Now it'll be 4 wide with Jared Davis and Braxton Deweese. And all this opportunistic racing, it looks like drivers maybe not learning their lesson about the quick yellow flags. Maybe they just believe they won't be the driver to cause it. Nevertheless, a lot of guys keeping each other close company with little regard for an incident if it were to occur. Michael Araya finding himself down to the bottom once again, and it looks like coming with them now you'll see Michael Stroll and, of course, the front horse, Jared Davis, Thomas Bressie, and all the quick drivers who decided to go down and in for new rubber are now making their way through. The leader of the new tire brigade, however, is Blake Cannon. And here comes that 27. Cannon looking for the race lead, and since he's got that new tire, this one's going to be real easy. At the line, Cannon has the lead, and he's going to clear into turns 1 and 2 to make it as official as it gets. The 27 heads the rest of the guys on new strategy. Michael Krobach will be second of them, and then you got Braxton DeWeese here. Braxton finding himself P6 overall. If he makes it around Tallarico and Vinny Tigner, it's going to be a very easy trip for him to go from P6 to P2, but now he's got to fight off all those who got the new tire that are coming behind him. Laraya, Stroll, Ackley, Mikus, Freilich, Osmer, Brent McClendon, Jared Davis, and many others in this mix now are on an only 4-lap-old stint, which means they went down to pit road during the last caution. Compared to drivers now like Wetmore, Tigner, and Tallarico, who have stayed out on their 29-lap-old stints, that's going to cost them big time here, and that is exactly why Braxton DeWeese just gotten up to the race lead. Of course, fighting up to the race lead battle, while he doesn't have P1 just yet, he is now firmly in the mix. Chad Mikus also on the way. Chad has gotten himself up from outside the top 20 tonight, and very near that first caution of the day, to all the way up to P3 officially. Mikus has new rubber, and now he's chasing after Cannon and Krobach, and the field is going to spread out significantly as guys are now on all different levels of rubber. When it's worn out, you're going to be falling back real quick here, so drivers have to understand what it takes from this point onward to play it smart. The big problem right now is a lot of these drivers are in a position where I highly doubt they're considering the long term, even if they have new rubber. How are we going to see drivers like Vinny Tigner, who is on an older set, conserve his stuff to make it the whole distance? That's a very big problem. He might be focused more so on the immediate factor of keeping himself up and ahead, which of course means defense, which is going to shred his stuff even more. But when that fails to work out, which very likely it will end up failing, he's going to have to consider what's next. And for him, I think what's next is going to be very simple. Falling to the back of the field, having to reset based on either a lucky yellow flag or some realignment in terms of strategy. Rob Ackley just made it by. He's coming past with Brent McClendon. And Tom Wetmore is now barely hanging on to the top 10. Looks like Thomas Bressie would be next to get up to him, but Vinny Tigner trying to keep that defense game strong, only to be put 3 wide middle. And he's going to be sucked out of line. Slowly but surely, the top 10 going to compose of drivers who are only on brand new rubber. Wetmore now being put out of the way, and it's going to be 3 wide down to the bottom. Blake Gordon making his way through. Gordon, just about a lap ago, was running in 17th, and now he finds himself fighting for the 11th position here with the 97 of Nicholas Ward. Talk about a comeback. It looks like right now that number 13 is making big differences as he gets himself closer up to the front of the pack here. The number 13 Topgolf Chevrolet for Endeavor Racing, their flagship driver. Currently, there's a lot of room to keep on improving, but I highly doubt he's going to stop here, as it looks like the number 13 now sees new competition from Tyler Hensley. All these drivers on new rubber are beginning to catch up to each other, no matter where they started. Will Riker goes up high. That'll be Will going for the 14th place. Can't make any advancements so far. He'll stay in that second groove. It looks like he's going to be just about identical to his position over the last few laps. Inside the top 15 now, it looks like Tom Wetmore is the final driver on old rubber to be making it happen. I'll tell you this much, Wetmore's in a real bad spot, but compared to everyone else on the same strategy as him, He's in the best spot. And what does it mean to be the best of the worst? Well, for Tom Wetmore's sake, it might mean that he can stay aligned with strategy better than anyone else by virtue of keeping track position. He doesn't have to worry as much as the drivers behind him about keeping up with the trends on track. As long as he hangs on to the top 20 or top 25, at the very least of that top half, he's going to have a wonderful opportunity to stay at least somewhat competitive. And there will be some drivers who have newer rubber who simply are not as quick. That's just a matter of fact. And as a result, you're going to see those stronger drivers on old rubber just keep on contending, and they won't have to panic about going into pit road out of absolutely no other choice. Confidence in yourself, even when you fall down, is, of course, a big thing to have. And for Tom Wetmore right now, I think that number 69 undeniably has it. A race winner already on Tuesday nights, a pole sitter on the Mondays. He knows what it takes to make these long-term strategy games work out well. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is all now on new rubber, and Chad Mikus is going for the race lead on Blake Cannon here. How about Mikus making his way up? Unfortunately, not the best of performances at Daytona. Found himself an early retiree in the number 25, and now it looks like he's going to make his way back up to the top of the board. On a night like this, a win like this could, of course, be the proof that Chad Mikus is far from a fluke. He put together an amazing season last year, but when you consider the statistics from 2023, it almost seems like he came out of thin air. If you watch closely, though, he really didn't. The statistics were showing an upward trend from the beginning of the year until, of course, things came to a head in the end, the season finale of 2023, and he just picked up exactly where he left off last season. So as a result, Mikus becoming one of the fastest drivers in the field was inevitable. Just putting more time into the sim, getting more reps in, running more races, taking him from outside the top 30 in the inaugural season championship to top 3 in the regular season in 2024. And already P2 here in Auto Club, a lot of time remaining, but he also has his teammates to fall back on. Rob Ackley, who's running right now in 6th, and Michael Stroll, who's running in P4. Undeniable that tonight, also with Braxton Deweese in that number 1 running 3rd. Domination Intimidation Racing is here to win, and right now they have 4 drivers running between 2nd and 6th. That's a wonderful, of course, bracket to be in, but the one spot they would like the most is the one they don't have. Race lead, Blake Cannon. Cannon comes across the line once again for lap number 39 here. He'll be coming on with his first lap driver of the day, and that appears to be Cody Smith in the number 18. Smith right now scored in 42nd, and it looks like, well, that number 18 has himself quite a few problems. Damage is going to be evident on the right side of that car, and that's something that can't be fixed quick, so he's going to have to stay out on the track, and he'll go 2 laps down as Blake Cannon makes his move. Cannon puts the 18 1 lap down, does so quickly, and so now we're 40 laps into the night's events. So, since we are now 15 laps into our stint according to timing and scoring, let's talk about the implications for the rest of the race. 15 laps out of what is estimated to be about a 40-lap stint means that we should see, until about lap 65, no drivers heading in to pit road. While we still have some battling we'll focus on the track right now, it doesn't mean that it's going to end up impacting when we head down to pit road, unless, of course, the yellow flag flies. So here's how it's going to go from here. We are still expecting 2 pit stops to be the way to go tonight. The first of which will come in at about lap number 65 to 7. That is, of course, going to remain green from here. Then we would expect another pit stop cycle at about lap 100 to finish off the night. There could be some drivers decided to go in earlier just because going in at lap 100 only leaves about 20 laps to go. So we might see some drivers opting in beforehand. A few others might decide to go at that late point, but the expectation is 2 more green flag pit stops will hold us over and get us to the end of the night without a problem. Usually the 3-stop strategy works out on Auto Club with 120 laps on the docket, and it looks like tonight that will be the case more or less. It's just going to be slightly different given the fact that first pit stop came under yellow. 25-lap stint, then another 40-lap stint that gets you to about lap 65, and that final 40-lap stint to get you the distance. It'll still be a total of 3 pit stops, but you're breaking it up slightly different, so you'll have more pit stints. Michael Araya heading to the inside now, and it looks like that 44 is looking for a pass. Braxton Deweese has only been losing time in the last few laps now to Blake Cannon, and coming across the way, that number 1 real close to losing a spot here. Let's see what happens. Domination, Intimidation Racing coming up on Laraya again, but Michael has been making moves, and this will be the fight for P2 for the former Octane Series champion. And this is the first time your 2 defending champions are facing off against one another. Very notable fact about this battle. Octane Series champion Laraya, Ignite Series champ in Braxton Deweese. And we're expecting, of course, these 2 to battle each other many a time over the course of this 30-race season. But wonderful to see it already developing here for the very first time. The 44 of Laraya staying right there. Braxton Deweese with the advantage in terms of track position. Still looks like it's his as they come through for lap number 44 here, though. Now the 44 gets the edge. Raya dives into turn 1. Braxton decides to go skating up top. He's going to hope for some momentum coming out of the final corners here. Maybe going to try to build it up for the whole lap, and immediately into turn 2, he'll duck down low. And it's that difference in racing strategy, taking different grooves, deciding to go through different lines, that also makes it a lot more enticing to watch these battles here. Because more often than not, there is a better way to go across the racetrack, but it doesn't mean it's always the way you should be going. While the inside often cuts a lot of that distance, you saw there Braxton getting his position back by using the high groove, getting it up top, building that speed, and then carrying it down the back straightaway. And it looks like he's definitely found something here. He was losing time beforehand to Blake Cannon, but all of a sudden it looks like that number 13, well, the number 1 this season anyway, is back on the gain. All the while, Blake Cannon, he finds himself losing a little bit more time now. Your race leader might be in jeopardy again as we continue to follow Braxton Deweese ever so slightly inching closer here. Across the line, the difference is about 2.5 tenths of a second, and that's what it was about 5 laps ago. Went to a little bit more, almost 4 tenths. And now it looks to be like it's simmering down once more. Michael Araya still trying to keep himself in the fight, and we'll see whether or not he ends up falling back to a guy like Michael Stroll or Chad Mikus. Rob Ackley is going to be 6th, Thomas Bresci is going to be in 7th, and 8th right now is Brent McClendon. And right now, when we talk about overall rookies, drivers brand new to the iRacing, of course, loop here in the Integrity Racing League, Brent McClendon would be the highest running driver in P8. No Ignite or Octane Series experience at all before 2025, and he's running right up there with the best of them. Nicholas Ward still in 9th, and although Ward was involved in that previous incident, looks like he too has recovered strong. While Jack Drucker finds himself 3 laps down in 46th, Nicholas Ward continues on and stays inside the top 10. Contact between those two deemed a racing incident, so the 97 gets to maintain all that position on the circuit and keep on battling up in front. It was minor contact after that number 97 skated up the circuit, and definitely a better incident than the last one involving Ward, in which he was a lap machine, and as a lapper got involved with the leaders in the pack, bringing out the yellow flag. So Ward looking for a recovery today. Done a pretty good job of just that, staying inside the top 10, keeping the fight alive, as the newly returning Tyler Hensley runs in 10th. Wonderful to see Tyler Hensley back on the circuit after a full year of absence in 2024. Didn't make any appearances in the 2024 campaigns in either Monday or Tuesday night racing. However, he is a veteran, and he goes back to his time, of course, in 2023 as a member of JTM, running the 46 and then the number 5 for the second half of the year. Hensley is a driver we haven't spoken of all too much, in large part because he just hasn't competed all too much. Now he puts himself in a much better position to succeed, working with a very strong JTM crew. He's 10th, and right now his highest position teammate is just a few spots ahead in 5th. That, of course, is Thomas Bressi, and now he's ahead of both Rob Ackley and Chad Mikus, and it looks like up next on that menu will be Michael Stroll. Thomas Bressi slowly but surely picking apart this entire team here, and it looks like this is where that long-term, long-run strength comes into play. Looks to be the faster driver over the course of the last few laps. Thomas Bressi is absolutely making himself known once again. And for a lot of the drivers in this field, I would say more than 35 of which they would already know who this number 24 is. But for those who don't, Thomas Bressi has proven to be one of the dominant drivers at big circuits and road courses, and to start the season we've got quite a few of those, and Bressi is already back once again. Wonderful to see him now making those same old moves. It's just picking apart the field and dissecting drivers. Michael Stroll is up next here. It looks like coming into turns 3 and 4, the 24 drives ever so slightly high and gets the pass. He drifted in front of Michael, absolutely, but it looks like when he did so, there wasn't any trouble in terms of keeping himself in one piece. Still with him there, that number 3 remains on the tail end, but I don't think Stroll's got the pace, at least for now, to recover. We're about 26 laps into this stint, which means that we're more than halfway through our run on tires and fuel. As a result, drivers have to continue to make decisions here. We're going to take a look back and show you where the old tire brigade lies. Currently, Tom Wetmore has gone more than 50 laps on his run. He's decided to stretch it out big time, and it looks like that means the drivers still have the opportunity to go the full distance if they would like. But I don't know if that's the best way to go in terms of efficiently making it toward the end of the race, because Tom Wetmore now is going to make his way down a pit road, a 51-lap run, and with them at long last comes Sebastian Miller after 48. Wetmore coming in from 30th on track, and for the number 83 of Seb Miller, he came in from 32nd. So undoubtedly not the best place to be right now, but a lot of time to improve. Wetmore drops in from P30 in the field. There's the battle between Jacob Fife, of course, and Nick Tarbuck. And your race leader remains the same. That's the man up front, Blake Cannon, the number 27. And we'll put our focus once again on driver at the top of the board. Cannon leads. And it looks like right now coming up on Jack Drucker. So last week's race winner already going to be put 1 lap down. And it looks like, unfortunately for him, very little hope of being back on the lead lap. 1 lap down under green. This would put him a total of 4 laps down on the night. Not the best of days for Drucker, but he's the only driver who can rest assured that he has a race victory in his back pocket. Everyone else, not so much. Michael Araya remains P3, hasn't been able to get up there to Braxton Lewis. Looks like Thomas Bressi is somewhat evened out as well. Not a lot going on in this battle, so we'll show you a little bit closer. Further back, Matt Press now running with the number 70 of Scott Eckrich, both of which brand new drivers, rookies at that. And there's Casey Shue, the number 4, trying to get up in the mix as well. Casey's second start since 2023 is tonight. Made his way back and started on the front row last week at Daytona. However, it looks like right now the focus is on these rookie guys, including Ronnie Osmer, who's just ahead of the battle, but currently doesn't find himself involved in it. Furthermore, a tight battle in the top 10. Tyler Hensley side by side with Brent McClendon here. Brent looks like he has a minor edge. This would be for P9, and Jacob Fife battles Blake Gordon for the 11th place spot. That means both drivers here have a chance to get inside the top 10 if there's a mistake made ahead of them. Nicholas Ward has gotten himself up to 8th. All the while, you're starting to see maneuvers made to try and stay inside the top 10, more desperate than before. 2 by 2, multiple lanes of it. Nick Tarbuck just behind. Nick looking for an opening, can't quite find it yet. Watching aboard with the number 29 once again. Domination Intimidation Racing sees multiple guys in the top 10. They currently have, well, if you take a look at the numbers, 4 of their guys there. Now Nick Tarbuck is looking to be the 5th. He'll take it 3 wide down to the bottom, and he's going to try to stick it on every driver involved. Tyler Hensley still ahead, but he'll get it ahead of McClendon and Jacob Fife. And it looks like now DIR. They have 5 drivers in the top 10. But briefly, Blake Gordon gets that spot right back, and number 13 continues the battle here, and he will refuse to lose. Still, the battle continues. Nick Tarbuck, from being inside the top 10 ever so briefly, gets bounced back into 12th place, and it looks like with Brent McClendon right there, he could fall back to as far as 13th. Jacob Fife is going to keep him squeezed up, but the 36 doesn't have the run down the front straightaway. He'll have to back off for now. McClendon has the rest of the fight. All the while, Blake Gordon is the last man inside the top 10. See here, there's Nick Tarbuck, still waiting for his shot, but it doesn't look like now he's got the pace to go for it. The LSU number 11 of Brent McClendon is still right there. It looks like Nicholas Ward now leads this battle, which goes from 7th down to 14th place in Will Riker. That is the number 67 here. Will Reichert, undeniably one of those drivers that we still have a blank slate on. But so far, the number 67 has proven to be above average, especially as a rookie talent. Reichert was inside the top 20 for the better part of her action in Daytona. And moreover, tonight, he's gone from 44th up to 13th. So that's a gain of nearly 30 positions. As a matter of fact, it's a gain of 31 positions. He's gained more than 30 on the day, and that's something to absolutely be proud of as a young driver in this field. And it's interesting. We don't think of age as what makes a driver young in a sim racing series. Instead, it's often just that experience factor. If you know the drivers and you're gelled with them, you can be much better and much more competitive. 4 wide now, Cannon, Tarbuck, Tigner, and Mikas. Benny and Chad give, Blake and Nick, they don't. Now Tom Wetmore coming up and on his way. He's going to be 1 lap down in that number 69. Take a look right now and see how quick Tom Wetmore gets by these lead lap drivers, especially now that he's got himself new rubber. He's stuck in traffic, but I'll tell you this much, when he gets that clean groove and clean opening, he's going to be by in just a moment. And you can see there, the 69 got by Chad Mikas so quickly, it was unbelievable. Now he's coming up on Vinny Tigner. And while Tigner's keeping him at bay, that won't be for all too long here. Nicholas Ward might have to watch out. There goes the number 69 up high, and he's driving right through. With them, Vinny Tigner will come, and already we're seeing those signs to go down a pit road and try to make things happen once again. 60 laps in out of 120, we're expecting to see pit road become busier and busier over the next coming laps. 50 lap stint, it was the example by Tom Wetmore that will be set for the rest of the field, which means drivers could technically go up to 15 more laps. Don't know how many are going to go for that route because it looks like more and more are coming in each time by. Blake Cannon still holds the race lead, but now with some pressure from lappers, it looks like there's a chance for Braxton Deweese to pull himself back in the fights. And in the long run, the number 1, he looks quick once again. Braxton now barreling down the back straightaway, goes right behind Cannon, gives him a look, and he almost gives him a shove. Now the number 1 is side by side for the top spot, and it looks like Cannon this time has no choice but to concede. Instead, Blake will head down a pit road, dropping to the inside groove, and he'll match our expectations going in after a 37-lap stint. Braxton Deweese, new race leader on the day. An interesting call by Blake Cannon there. Again, we saw Tom Wetmore go for a 51-lap run. However, we still have more than 51 laps to go, which means that Cannon is almost entirely guaranteeing himself another pit stop. I don't know if that's the right way to go. If drivers go about 5 or 6 more laps, they would be able to guarantee themselves one more pit stop on the night, and we'll bring you our laps to go counter at the top of your screen to prove what's going on. 59 laps to go, coming to 58. If a driver is at that 51 to go marker and they haven't gone in for their final pit stop, they are safe to do so, and they can go in freely, not worrying about needing another pit stop. So I'm surprised there that we're seeing drivers making their way in. Here comes Chad Mikus. Moreover, here comes Brent McClendon. Maybe drivers going to decide to split the stint regardless because the tire wear is too extreme. McClendon makes his way. Jacob Fife, Kyle Brooks does as well. Who else decides to stay out long now? That's the big question. It looks like Braxton Deweese will opt to do just the opposite of that. He's going to fall back here, and he gives Thomas Bressi the race lead while Rob Ackley heads down to pit road. And in this case, it looks like longer is not better, as Tom Wetmore had to stretch it out big just for a chance. It looks like Ackley and company are deciding to take their chances on a much safer call. And here comes Rob as Kyle Cooper heads down to pit road as well. It looks like safety will be the priority tonight. Ackley makes his way, as did Cooper, and the leaders of the field have a choice, and it looks like they're making one in a resounding unison. Go down to pit road earlier so you don't have to worry about wearing your stuff out late. There comes Sebastian Miller, the 77 of Paul Mikolajczyk. As a result, well, we're starting to see the effect of most drivers now on new rubber. Thomas Bressi stays out in what is now 56 laps to go. Michael Stroll just headed in himself. There's that number 3. Michael came in just a few laps ago. His teammate, of course, Rob Ackley did. Nick Tarbuck is still out according to timing and scoring, as is Braxton Deweese. So DIR are going to split up here, divide and conquer, and hopefully meet themselves back up front. And in contrast to splitting, now Tarbuck and Mikus have found each other, and it looks like Nick is going to drop down and in this time through. Chad Mikus decides to stay out on track, and it looks like now you'll see that number 29 opt in. Will Reichert, more of the same, and a big slide in for the 67. Still sliding on the entry there. He comes in red hot. Will Reichert does now into his pit stall. Thomas Bressi, 55 laps to go. Time still ticking down. He stays on track. Ackley passes him to get back on the lead lap there. Big decisions being made, undeniably. I think the big problem right now is that I can't quite tell whether or not that winning strategy is going long or if it's compartmentalizing. Thomas Bressi right now looks like he's betting on the fact that a driver can go long and get more laps out of it. They might not be the quickest of laps, but if you lose a full minute on pit road, including the cycle and the like, then you're in a really bad situation. And I think right now the goal for the 24 is to avoid that and try to strengthen his run while lengthening it as well. Doing both at once seems to be the best of both worlds for this number 24, and if he's opportunistic enough with this call, it could pay dividends for the entire race. Andrew Hamilton catches the wall, but it looks like now the 24 of Thomas Bressi makes his way in. Hamilton decides to do so as well. Michael Araya left the race lead with 53 laps to go. Laraya to the points. And since the first half is out of the way, the rest of this race is going to come very quickly here. The reason being, of course, strategies are now so varied. We're seeing drivers go in lap after lap. For the past 10 laps, in fact, drivers have gone in, at least one of which, and it's not like Daytona or Talladega or any of those super speedways where you see that mass pit road exodus. Instead, what happens here is that drivers go in slowly but surely, and they find their own rhythm and their own timing to do so. And And when that happens, putting that big pack back together takes a very long time. And as soon as we really get back into that rhythm, you start seeing drivers go down a pit road once again. Multiple drivers have guaranteed themselves they're going down a pit road once more, no matter what. Michael Araya, with 52 laps to go, though, might not be one of them. He might have an opportunity to go the full distance here and try to stretch it on this one final run. Fog is beginning to blow over the virtual Auto Club Speedway. Thomas Bressi now going to put himself back on the lead lap, and I'm starting to think that we're going to see different conditions not only on the track, but of course off it. 44 heading down a pit road this time by, and here comes Michael Araya. As a result, now you'll see one driver spinning. That's going to be Scott Eckridge on pit road. It looks like he'll get away, but Scott with trouble. That's bad news, of course. He's one of those drivers who's a rookie trying to get himself locked into the top 30. An incident like that, while small, has major implications, and we'll show you it once again here as we grab our eyes, of course, and our attention toward the number 70. That was Scott Eckridge, by the way. And it looks like right now he's going to be on the move, still scored inside the top 10 briefly, but that'll change. Take a look back to what happened with Scott here. Eckridge came in drifting and then spun backwards trying to save it. And that's where the problem lies. Michael Araya was going in at the same time here, but Eckridge was where the issue was. And right now it looks like Thomas Bressi will beat out the number 24. Here's Araya, and you might have just noticed it. The number 24 of Bressi is right up and ahead, scored now in approximately 21st place. Thomas Bressi making things move. In the meanwhile, Michael Araya has to catch up. Here's the 24 of Bressi. The Exalta Chevrolet just behind Sam Nieto right now. Take a look at the left side of your screen and you'll see the last pit lap notification, which means we'll see exactly when a driver last went into pit road. Net race leader, officially speaking, is Blake Cannon. He went into pit road lap 61. The only driver we're waiting on right now is Ronnie Osmer. Ronnie in the 55, he finds himself the leader, and he's the only driver who hasn't gone in within the last 30 laps here. He's still out in front. Ronnie this time by decides to concede, and at lap number 72, every driver has come to pit road. What took about 25 laps for the entire field to do, well, at long last, it is done. So Blake Cannon will be able to take that race lead, and he'll be the number 27 to the point as a result of our massive pit road cycle here. Cannon leads. Ackley will be second, Michael Stroll third, and then Braxton Deweese in P4. We're still cycling the entire field together, and you got to remember some of these guys are a much younger rubber than their adversaries, so even if they're up in front now or they're behind for now, it's most likely going to change significantly as the rest of the night progresses. Jacob Fife getting on the way with our friends at SimMotion. That's something we love to see, and I'll tell you this much as we talk about SimMotion, our premier partners here at FTN and the Integrity Racing League have been a major help in bringing these productions to you. So with that being said, check out these two websites. Use SimMotion's promo code INTEGRITY at us.sim-motion.com. SimMotion has partnered with the Integrity Racing League this year and has become one of our premier vendor associates. We've been with, of course, another partner for a few years. We'll get to them right this moment, of course, as well. But SimMotion, we're proud to have them come aboard and help out multiple drivers. They're on the board here for Jacob Fife. They're with Matthew Thunhorst as well. We got brand ambassadors up at the front of the field, of course, doing their thing. And SimMotion is here to help all sim racers in terms of appliances across brands and across countries. There's no better place to go. Scan the QR code or check out promo code INTEGRITY, 5% off all sales. And of course, who else would it be besides Next Level Racing? That's right, since the end of 2022, Next Level Racing has provided high quality sim racing performance products. I'm sure if you've been with us for a while, you've heard that quite a few times, but it rings true to this day. NLR, you can save 5% with them by using promo code INTEGRITY24 at nextlevelracing.com. Their brand ambassador is 2022 Series Champion Cody Smith. Tonight he's had a few troubles and some damage on the car, but rest assured he'll be coming back to play up at the front of the field next week and of course the weeks to come. Thanks once again to Next Level Racing and Sim Motion for their continued assistance. We can't bring you the action of the Integrity Racing League without their continued supports. 45 laps to go. Blake Cannon, Michael Stroll, Rob Ackley, the 1-2-3, Braxton Weiss, and that number one still finding himself just behind the podium here, but he's also right behind his teammates. I think that's a pretty good place to be. Taking a ride on board now with the number one, and you'll hear that driver telemetry coming in. And the thing about it is, Auto Club Speedway is a fast track. You go through 2 miles at 41 seconds worth, but at the same time, it isn't like Daytona, nor is it like Talladega. You are not on the throttle the whole time, and as a run goes on, you progressively use less and less throttle. Take a listen here as Braxton passes his teammate. Braxton now P3, nevertheless, second, third, fourth remain the same team, Domination Intimidation Racing. But Blake Cannon is quite the interesting figure, and it's nice to see him back up in front. It's nice to see him back racing. And of course, the 27, he came into this series like it was a brief flash. Wasn't a full-term run last year. He didn't start the season at Daytona. He didn't end it at the Homestead Miami Speedway, or Phoenix, depending on which series it was. But he won a race in both the Octane and Ignite series, and did so in dominating fashion for both. Blake has become one of those drivers to look out for just off his brief part-time tenure. While he's a rookie officially in both series this year, it's his first full-time campaigns respectively, he has experience and wins to back himself off of. He's in the wall though. The 27 gets caught up high. Bad news for him. Blake Cannon scraping the top, and that might end up costing him the race lead in the next coming laps here. Slightly older rubber than Michael Stroll, and a mistake like that with 42 laps to go leaves a lot on the table. Not sure if he's got a chance to recover fully. Didn't look like any major damage. But a moment like that is really something you'd like to avoid. And more than that, it's going to cost him time, and we saw it there. He was more than 3 seconds ahead as your race leader. Now he finds himself 2.8 seconds ahead. And that gap diminishes ever so slightly. We'll see if Michael has a chance to pull him back in. Matt Press rounds out the top 10 right now, and Press is going to be with Michael Krobach. Krobach was in an incident earlier today where he actually got turned around. So it's good to see the 72 is still going up at the front of the field. A major recovery for Krobach, of course, involved in a wreck last week, involved in the wreck this week, and yet it looks like despite those early troubles and those shortcomings, he's turned tonight into what seems like an early success so far. Michael finds himself in the single digits, as a matter of fact, and so long as he can hold off Matt Press and Blake Gordon here, he might have a shot to stay inside the top 10, at least for now. One big issue, though, is that Michael has some of the oldest tires in the field, 22 laps of age. Compared to some of those front-running guys, that's only going to send him very, very far back in the field here. Here comes Thomas Bressi trying to make his move in the number 24. Thomas now 2x2 and boxed in. Resti now with the advantage, and it looks like Blake Gordon will make the same move. It's going to be a 2-for-1, and Matt Press is the driver that loses in this bargain. It looks like now he's going to find himself outside the top 10, and it's for the first time in some 15 laps that he's outside of such a high rank. Nevertheless, 39 laps to go, time still to spare. Blake Cannon leads the way, and it looks like his gap is indeed diminishing. However, it's a new driver chasing him up in front. It's no longer Michael Stroll, and it looks like team owner has taken the reins and given them to number one. The defending champ is now looking to reclaim his crown for his very first race win of 2025. Braxton Weiss holds himself up as the race leader, of course, for the DIR guys, but overall, he's still P2. Interestingly enough, we don't address the chat first and foremost all too often, but the Braxton Weiss fan club has been rather quiet today for how well Braxton has run. Of course, the defending champion, so they expect to see great performances, but 5th, he qualified. He's currently 2nd. He's led laps on the day, and he's been inside the top 5 all day long. I wonder where Chris and the family are, of course. Maybe they're watching it in person. It's been a real good run, but Braxton is really just getting started here. Got his team to support him. Gap is now under 2.5 seconds, and Blake Cannon is still the leader. But it looks like that gap is diminishing. Does so, we're expecting to see perhaps one final pit cycle for some drivers. Again, Cannon right now has been on a stint for 21 laps. He might have to go down to pit road again. But for someone like Braxton Weiss on a 17-lap stint, he should be safer to go all the way. Safest of all looks to be Michael Araya. And while he's 7 seconds back, well, it looks like right now he has complete control as to whether or not he decides to go all the way or go down to pit road. He does not have to worry, and he can push as much as he'd like. And that's one major advantage of not worrying about timing all too much. When you have that good pit stop strategy lined up, you can make the end of a race work out without all that stress that goes with it. It looks like for Laraya, compared to the entire rest of the field, he would have the advantage. For all but one driver in Tyler Hensley. Hensley would be on the same strategy as him. .35 laps to go this time by. And now, of course, it looks like we've gotten into that rhythm we spoke of earlier. Interestingly enough, as we talk about the statistics once again, 4 cautions with 45 drivers and 110 laps last season. The Integrity Racing League takes their vetting process very seriously when it comes to becoming a driver in this league. And we haven't mentioned it ever before, so we'll mention it now. We'll periodically remind all our viewers, if you'd like to join the fun, the Integrity Racing League typically hosts its recruitment races during the off-season, which start in January and run weekly at full-length Integrity-style events until February. So you have quite a few opportunities, 5 or 6, to get with the Integrity Racing League field, race for a few hundred miles, and determine whether or not you've got the stuff to compete. Oftentimes, we see 25 to 30 drivers trying their hand on any given race night, whether or not they are veterans just looking to get some practice in, or rookies who have never had experience with this league. If you want a chance to get into the Integrity Racing League, that is the best way to vet yourself out and see if you've got the skill. Registrations are typically open all year, but for the Ignite Series, they are currently closed for 2025. We have 65 drivers registered, and 54 are in this race. I don't think we're going to be looking for registries in this series all season long, but tomorrow night we're expecting to see registration is still open for the Octane Series. Of course, all that information is left in our Discord servers, which are at the bottom of our description pages for every YouTube broadcast. And of course, if you've enjoyed tonight's racing, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel here live on FTN. Your support is greatly appreciated. We could not do this without you. Back to the focus on the racing here. Battle inside the top 10s, getting close between Jacob Fife and Blake Gordon. One that's a little bit closer is Nicholas Ward here with Kyle Cooper. The 97 of Ward is now ducking down low. Nick has made a pretty good race out of what was a problematic start. And as a matter of fact, Napa Auto Parts machine has been able to keep himself up in front in spite of damage and turmoil. Looks like just ahead of him, Michael Krobach and Chad Mikas still fight. Krobach is really on old rubber here, so it's a surprise that he's kept himself up in front because he as well was involved in an incident where he got turned around with direct contact. But it looks like even for 30 laps of age, Krobach has been able to keep himself inside the top 20 rather comfortably here. Again, with 30-plus laps to go, Nicholas Ward, of course, and company coming through. Krobach might not remain in the top dozen for the rest of the night, but he should be able to take away a comfortable top 20 finish, which will keep him in the fight to stay top 30 locked in. When it comes to points, the top 30 drivers are automatically locked into every race, and then the rest of the field has to qualify its way in. Now, it looks like that's going to keep these drivers, of course, who are up in front protected, but at the same time, it's not necessary for the races where we see under 60 drivers, in the most case anyway. Now, the short tracks, we are going to cap at 40, so we might need to see that restriction and send some drivers home, but there's a big advantage just building up points in case of that. Doesn't happen all the time. Matter of fact, it happens very rarely. There aren't as many short tracks on the schedule as there are intermediates or big circuits. But the protection of making it into every race is major security, and it helps out a driver in focusing more on winning than it does on just barely making the show. Nicholas Ward, number 13 spot he's got right now, and it looks like he's going to make a little bit more headway here, just outside the top 10. Last man on the top 10 order is going to be still Matt Press. Press keeps himself ahead of the battle there. You can see he's chasing Jacob Fife rather than looking back. Maybe a chance for the 60 to get up there, but it looks like so far really no determining factor. It's been dead even over the past few laps. Hawk Gaming coming in for Thomas Bressi, 7th place right now with that Exalta Chevrolet. And it looks like right now, Bressi running strong. He and Nick Tarbuck gonna maybe have a battle here in the next few laps. JTM's leading driver tonight, that number 24. And Bressi, again, he has young rubber. He can work with this. He and Michael Araya have the best rubber in the top 10. And while Araya's gotten a little bit closer than Bressi has, both of them have time, and both of them have the speed. We might see the 44 and 24 battling it out late, even if they're several seconds apart right now. Bressi on a 24-lap stint relative to leader Blake Cannon's 30. Second place, 26, Braxton Weiss. Third, 27, Michael Stroll. So a few laps, and it's a handful of laps compared to leader Cannon. That's a really good thing to hold on to if you're Thomas Bressi. Single file across the entirety of the field here. Some minor pockets of racing, but very few have come up. Casey Hugh right now, one to focus on, and we're going to try to put our eyes toward that number 4. Casey coming up on Matthew Thunhorst, and it looks like Tanner Tallarico. Tanner now looks like he's going to get away, but the number 44. We focus on the chat room. We'll ask a question. All right, Eric McFarland, as we see Matthew Thunhorst come in. When did Michael Araya pit? Was it 66? Well, let's find out right now. It looks like officially Michael Araya went in at lap 70 here. So he stretched it longer than 66. Able to go a total of 50-plus laps, as you mentioned there, going beyond the 66 and going into the 70s. The very last driver to go in the top 10, Michael Araya, and the only of which to go into the 70s. And you'll see right now some drivers are making a break for their final pit stop of the night, one of which will be the number 1, and that, of course, is Braxton Weiss. Braxton made his move. He fell outside of the top 10, and now we'll have to catch up right to him. Braxton down and in at the same time. As a few other drivers coming through, looks like Matthew Thunhorse, Kyle Cooper. Pit road is busy once again. An exciting circumstance because now we'll see whether or not everyone decides to go into pit road or if some drivers do. Bressi concedes, Cannon concedes. It looks like the stretch is not in, and the final pit stops of the night will happen here and now as originally predicted. That long middle stint preparing us for the short sprint to finish the job. Chris DeWeese in the chat room. Well, looks like at least we've got some family of Braxton DeWeese there. Welcome back to the channel, of course. Eric McFarland as well in the chat room. Froba Fett. It looks like right now, 25 laps to go. Michael Araya's pit strategy looks to be very strong. Still doesn't look like any confirmation as to whether or not he's banking on going the distance or if he's going to come down for that short stint. Bressi's going to find himself P2, Blake Gordon third, Hensley is in fourth. Based on our statistics here, it looks like Laraya and the number 24 Bressi have the best position when it comes to staying out on circuit. But we still don't know whether or not they're going to come in the next coming laps here. It looks like more and more we're seeing the field pile in. Casey Shue just decided to make his move onto the racing circuit again. You might notice he's still inside the top 10 here and has kept himself out. A very different top 10 with the number 4 there. And of course, Michael Araya here, still your leader. Multiple strong competitors opting in within the last 5 laps here. With 24 laps to go, Michael Araya still holds the lead, and he'll come across the line once again. 23 laps to go this time by, only 22 laps remaining after this point. We're coming up on lap 100 in the tail end of our event tonight with 54 registrations and 53 starters. It's our biggest ever non-superspeedway race in Integrity Racing League history. And there's no better way to keep the party going than cranking it up, courtesy of our friends at Whiplash Simcams. You might know our broadcasting friends at P1 Broadcasting have gone toward Whiplash, as have many other top-level broadcasters. We'd like to thank the crew at Pit Stop TV for bringing us on as partners. Visit Pit Stop TV and Whiplash Simcams on their social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to learn more. We'll be right back after we go unfiltered and uncensored from Fontana, California. Let's crank it up here at the Auto Club Speedway. timing and scoring currently showing you Will Reichard, your race leader in the number 67. You got DJ Stagner running fourth. We saw him there battling with Casey Shue and the like, but a few drivers remaining as holdouts here as pit strategy has continued on to the tail end. 18 laps remaining from the Auto Club Speedway. Reichard, Eckrich, and Shue, DJ Stagner, and Ronnie Osmer, your only holdouts left in the top 5 consecutively. Blake Cannon, according to our timing and scoring here, still your net race leader off of pit road. Cannon right now holding that advantage, and it looks like it's significant enough to hold him through for the next 5 or 6 laps at the minimum. Coming up on him next up will be the number 3, and that's Michael Stroll, of course. Michael now going to keep on fighting. Braxton Weiss is a second behind his teammate in that number 3 here, so Cannon and Stroll are the immediate competitors left in the mix. A little bit further behind, you'll also find Michael Laraya. Right now, according to timing and scoring, Laraya is about 20 seconds off of Will Reichard, and relative to Blake Cannon is about 12 seconds behind here. So, with a choice not to go for the super stretch runs, everyone comes down and in once again, and Blake Cannon has recovered the race lead, and it looks like now he holds on, but will he be able to defend? This run is, of course, Michael Stroll's final opportunity to keep the race lead within his grasp. If he wants the race win, he's got to keep on pushing exactly how we see it right now. And it doesn't mean it's impossible necessarily, but the big issue becomes how can he do something when time is running out? Stroll currently going to find himself, of course, occupying P7. But when everyone comes to pass, which is going to be the next 5 or 6 laps, we should see the entire field in the familiar placements. Michael Stroll will be again inside of the podium. And of course, it'll be Blake Cannon, your overall race leader. Right now, he's battling with Daniel Foss in that number 38. Daniel's a lapper, and there's Ronnie Osmer. Ronnie is one of the holdouts, and he's still trying to stay on the track here. An interesting call, and it looks like so far, well, he's decided to keep himself out. Blake Cannon, you can see him there at the fringe of these camera angles as we focus on your net second-place driver. Michael's got to keep on moving here because still a few seconds in the distance lies that number 27. Blake Cannon looking for his second ever Ignite Series win, his third Integrity Racing League victory, if of course he gets the job done tonight, and of course on the Tuesday night tour he would have 1, and in the Ignite Series he would have 2, based on a victory in this circuit. Blake Cannon also hoping to be, of course, another brand new winner at the Auto Club Speedway. Justin Trombley not returning means tonight, no doubt about it, will not be a repeat of a previous race winner. And with time running out and a total now, according to timing and scoring, under 20 laps to go and under 15 laps to go means that there is no time to be wasted. Will Reichard still the overall race leader, but highly doubtful. I really am highly doubtful that's going to remain the same by the time we get toward the final laps. Will is significantly slower and dives down a pit road, so Reichard concedes, and now Scott Eckrich will be P1 temporarily. 13 laps to go for Scott. At number 70 finds himself exactly where he needs to be. Race leading, but I don't think he's going to hang on to it. Again, it's that vicious cycle. You can find yourself up in front as your top driver, but when you're in a position where, of course, you don't know exactly what to do with it, when to go down a pit road, you're almost entirely lost here. Now, Michael Stroll, you'll see that number 3. Well, he looks like now he's about 2.2 seconds off of Blake Cannon. That gap has not grown nor shrunk ever since everyone came off of pit road once again, so looks like right now Cannon is holding steady and in fact is gaining on the race leaders. And it might have an opportunity, in fact, to take the race lead without everyone going down to pit road. DJ Stagner might try to hold it further, as it looks like the drivers who are still up and ahead have committed to going for the long game, as opposed to folding on a pit road here. Scott Eckridge in the number 70 is staying out this time by. It'll be 11 laps to go. Lap 110. Casey Shue concedes, but Scott Eckridge stays out. Daniel Foss in the wall that time by. It looks like a little bit of contact for the number 38, but no big issue, all things considering. Last season, when we went to this track, it was 110 laps, and we had one more caution than what we have had so far. So a very impressive night when you consider the magnitude of this field and how long we've gone under green. Last season, again, there were 45 drivers to register and race. 53 took the green flag tonight. More than what we saw last season, and a considerable amount when you look at the numbers overall. As such, laps winding down, 10 laps to go this time by. Cannon has gotten by Stagner and might be able to take the overall race lead on his own without pit road being the deciding factor here. Ronnie Osmer runs 6th, Tarbuck 7th, Lariah 8th, Bress 9th, Blake Gordon top 10 with 10 to go. Still a lot can change in these final laps, but things are looking to finally become more solid as we get toward the points. Scott Eckridge coming across the line. And the number 70 sees 9 laps to go this time through. Blake Cannon now coming right up. Gap between the two drivers is just about a half second overall. Lap by lap numbers will show you the difference is becoming less and less clear, and that's advantage Cannon. Scott Eckridge, of course, going to be the driver paying the price. Michael Stroll stays P3 overall here, as you see Sebastian Miller scored temporarily there in second. That's by virtue of a timing and scoring error. We're going to get that sorted out. Eckridge now comes to pit road. Blake Cannon, your race leader. 8 laps remaining. Cannon now has himself the official race lead, and it looks like for the time being there is no way to stop it. All the while, 3.4 seconds back is Michael Stroll, which means he's lost a second, a full second relative to where he was before. So all the gains of prior strategy calls look to be fading away rather than coming in the favor of the number 3 here. Braxton Deweese remains inside the podium. He's gone 5th to 3rd on the night, 7th to 2nd in Michael Stroll. But the biggest mover on the day is your race winner. If, of course, the number 37 spot in qualifying turns up as your race winner, it'll be one of the biggest drives of the season. 37th up to 1st. Adam Nunley in the chat room rooting for Domination Intimidation Racing, who are looking for 2nd and 3rd on the podium. And how familiar is this number 3 with being the runner-up man? I'm sure Michael Stroll would hate to be back in 2nd once again, but sometimes and some nights you get called in for the job and you finish just a little short. 3.5 seconds away, coming to 6 laps to go. I think tonight that's going to be one of those nights where, yes, Blake Cannon is just a little bit better, and it is difference-making in a night like this. 6 to go this time by. Cannon coming through, and it looks like all he's got to deal with are the lappers. Braxton Deweese and Michael Lariah. So Lariah is 4th here. Younger tire, let's remember he's been going several laps later than everyone else in the field, and so he has a real good chance now, perhaps, to put himself inside the podium if he just drives hard. It's really not done yet. He is a total now of about 1 second away from both Deweese and Michael Stroll. Take a ride on board. 5 laps to go. He could get there. Laria's never one to give up. So in a moment like this, well, it's all fair game. Gap is diminished ever so slightly, coming to 4 laps to go. 8 miles. That's the difference. Top 10 will now see Thomas Bressi getting himself up to P6. He's the leading driver for JTM. Endeavor Racing sees their flagship guy, the number 13, and Blake Gordon getting close to the front as well. Blake now fighting side by side. And as these guys go toe-to-toe across the line, the number 13 is right there, but Bressi gets the edge. Established teams are running the top 10. DIR taking 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, and you got JTM in P6, and of course, then and there, you've got Endeavor Racing in P7. Rookies like Osmer Press, and of course, overall, he's a rookie still, Blake Cannon have infiltrated, but it doesn't mean the team game doesn't matter, and doesn't matter when it comes to strategy and the status quo. Three laps to go this time by. Blake Cannon, a driver who we weren't even sure if he was going to come back last year. He came in briefly during the summer swing and all but disappeared entirely. Well, it looks like tonight he bet on himself and he started from the back of the field and he's made his way through. And so now, a few more laps remaining. Really only 2 laps remaining. And Cannon will prove once again he still has it in him to not only win, but remain dominant at the head of the field. 2 laps to go, this time by. Coming fourth, Blake Cannon got himself on the high side here, and it looks like he's in perfect position to hang on. Just a few moments away from getting to the checkered flag. Blake just has to make sure he goes through the next 6 corners without issue. Michael Stroll finding himself P2 right now. Well, it looks like he's got himself exactly where he needs to be to lock up a podium. But that's, of course, if Michael Araya doesn't swoop in and take it right away. Michael now going to find himself up on the high side. He's got the DIR drivers to fight, and now 1 lap to go. White flag flies this time through. Michael Araya running right behind. The battle for 2nd and 3rd is undone, but for the lead, it looks to be all but settled. Michael Araya ducks down low once more. White flags out, 3 wide for 2nd. We're going to have to focus, of course, on what's up front, but Araya takes 3rd, still looking for P2. Meanwhile, coming through turns 3 and 4, 37th up to 1st on the night. A remarkable performance for a driver in his first ever full-time season. Blake Cannon, with his 2nd Ignite Series victory, gets the job done in the 2nd race of 2025. Blake Cannon wins from Fontana, and coming across the line, Michael Araya finishes 3rd. Braxton DeWeese holds him off by less than 1/1000th of a second. Unbelievable. Those two came at it door to door at the very end, but it's all for naught when we talk about race victory. Here's a quick replay of that very final run for Braxton DeWeese and, of course, Michael Araya. And we're going to try to show you as it was when it happened. Coming across the line, they were side by side just like this. And just barely, DeWeese gets the edge. Pull it back, and you'll see how close it was. Stroll watches. DeWeese on the top side edges out. That's for 2nd. Wow. But your race winner, at the very same time, begins his celebration. top 3 interviews coming right after this. Blake Cannon burns down Fontana. Cannon, your race winner. Let's walk through your race results before we get a word from the man who gets the job done. Blake Cannon leads 64 laps and comes home winning from 37th position. 9 laps led for Braxton Ruiz as he comes away P2 on the day from 5th in qualifying, and it's a dead heat. Less than 1,000th of a second. Really, we're not sure what determined it. We'll look back when we get the interviews, but these two were dead heat tied. Michael Araya, 3rd place officially, 17 laps led. Then you have Michael Stroll in 4th, Thomas Bressi in 5th, Nick Tarbuck 6th, Blake Gordon in 7th, and Matt Press P8, with 9th going to Michael Krobach, and 10th, Jacob Fife. Then from there, you'll have the 11th position. That's going to be the driver in the number 5, Tyler Hensley. Great return for Tyler. Great to have him back. He's P11. Ronnie Osmer, 12th. 13th is Kyle Cooper, and 14th, Tom Wetmore. Then from there, Jared Davis, P15 with Brent McClendon in 16th. Sebastian Miller, 17th, and Adam, of course, Wood is 19th. Justin Morton just ahead in P18. Nicholas Ward concludes the top 20. You then have Miko Leitchik in 21st. Nieto, Dinsmore, Tigner, McFerrin, Shu, Eckrich, Thunhorst, Fulowski, and Daniel Foss conclude the top 30. And from there, you got Brooks, Tallarico, Christman, Blattel, Painco, Rogers, Mikas, Reichert, Stagner, and Freilich, the top 40. And then from there, to conclude the top 50, Ackley, Bernhardt, Steele, Gallagher, Andrew Hamilton, Don Runkle, Jack Drucker, Cody Smith, Cole Rogers, Andrew Schaub, and your last drivers, Don Stevenson, Dackle Parka, Eric McFarland, Boomer Logan. 54 cars, our biggest ever non-superspeedway race. Let's hear from the man of the hour. Back in victory lane, and it's a statement victory. You know, he never really was away from great finishes and high running performances, but what he was away from was the racetrack. Great to have him back, and it looks like tonight he's already proven victory lane is in his calling. Blake Cannon, welcome back to victory lane, the 27 team with its 2nd Ignite Series win, 1st of the season, and a great early one to get. Big field, long green flag runs, and you were the best man of the night.
I really don't even know what to say. I mean, I struggled so bad. All practice, qualified terrible, burnt my stuff up the first run trying to make some passes. I really don't know. I mean, something finally clicked when we had that first long green flag run and I got to the lead. But I didn't expect it to be like that tonight.
From 37th up the first, as you mentioned there, first few cautions maybe bailing you out in terms of making some moves up early. How important was it for you to rise the ranks before we went green?
Oh, it was very important. We had 50-something cars. I mean, the racing from 15th to 50th was 3, 4 wide, so it was crazy, and I probably pissed a lot of people off early in the race making it 3 and 4 wide, but I didn't wanna be caught back there. You get racing around them guys, and they like to burn their stuff up, and you burn your stuff up, and then before you know it, you're half a track behind, and you got guys like Braxton and Lariah, they're just pulling away, saving their tires, so made a lot of aggressive moves early that I think helped me once we finally got strung out.
One thing to note tonight, long green flag strategy, pit stops in abundance. We saw that last run coming down in where you basically checked out. Looks like the middle run did it all for you. Do you have any worries about being caught up to there?
Absolutely. I mean, my strategy was the start of the race, my strategy was to do 2 stops at, 40, 80, and then try to stretch it. But, once we got that caution right there on lap 24, I was like, I was kind of torn. So I pitted, got out front, and then I hung on for a long time, longer than I expected, and was able to get the stage win. So once I got that and, my tires were already worn out, I just figured, I might as well pit now and kind of undercut a lot of them guys like Braxton and them. And that's really what played a part in that. I mean, undercutting them that big and then was able to hold on old tires, just added fuel to the fire.
Well, nevertheless, getting a very early victory on the season, getting that safety, of course, for a full-time run, and starting the campaign strong. Up next on the schedule here, we switched a few things around. Atlanta was supposed to be our second race. We move on. It will be Atlanta for race number 3, the old configuration, not a super speedway. You were quick at the intermediates last year from what we saw. Maybe a chance to bring that power back?
I sure hope so. Last year I didn't give myself a fair shot in either or series, so this year I wanted to make a true run at it and kind of, stamp myself as probably one of the heavy hitters. So I was able to get a decent run at Daytona. I kind of got caught up in a wreck, so to come out and win an Auto Club, automatically get into the chase for the playoffs. That's huge this early. Now I can really a lot of the pressure's off. I don't have to worry about, going out. I mean, obviously I want to win the race, but maybe strategy I can play around with. But hopefully I'm good at Atlanta next week. I've kind of struggled on the old Atlanta a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see how I do. But I think it's all about putting a full night together. Like tonight I struggled all night until probably halfway through the race. So that's all it takes in these things.
Well, Blake Cannon, the number 27 team, turning it around after qualifying in an early start. It didn't look to be all too great, but you're a hard charger and a race winner. Up 37 on the night. Any final comments or shout outs you'd like to send out before we head down to Georgia?
Yeah, just shout out to all the guys in this league. I mean, I said it last week and I'll say it again. I mean, this is probably the most badass group of people that you can possibly race with. I mean, to have that many people in a race and go that long on the green flags, I mean, it's just it's a testament to every single guy in here. So shout out to all them. Shout out to everybody that puts this on in integrity and you and the broadcast. What y'all do doesn't go unnoticed. And I got to shout out my wife for supporting me.
Blake Cannon, first win of the season, second of his Ignite Series career, and getting the job done in dominant fashion to end it off in Auto Club. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, David.
But Cannon on the move. Give us just a second. We're going to bring you your second place finishers, but all eyes on this last run. And what a run it was. We're going to bring it toward the very end of the race. Once again, and we're going to bring in P2 Braxton Deweese, the winner of the battle, shall we say. And of course, we'll hear from Michael Araya on his perspective right up next. First and foremost, the number 1 team was real strong tonight, and already looking to start that title defense program. Second place, barely. It looked like a tie on our end here, and I'm sure it did to you, but you take home second place. A great way to get that momentum built up for the rest of the season, Braxton. How's it feel out of Auto Club?
Yeah, it feels great. Last week with the 27th place finish, it's you don't really want to start the season off like that. If I want to be up there in the points and not have to worry about it, later on. You try to do the best you can early on. So, like I said, you can make it better later on. But to be able to get second at halfway, get 9 points, I believe, and then get second at the end there, the time for Michael and I are the exact same. It doesn't go down to past the thousands mark, but we both says that we were 5.246 seconds back from Blake there. So a hell of a battle. I watched the replay and I could barely tell that I got my splitter in front. It's game of inches in racing, and we were able to have the inch of this run and be able to come home second, and have a pretty good points day that we really wanted.
Unbelievably close at the very end of this one here. Looked like you and the team at Domination Intimidation Racing running close and running strong. You're with Michael Stroll, among others, like Ackley and Chad Mikas all day long. How important was it for you to play the team game as the night progressed?
Yeah, you definitely want to try to help out the teammates as much as you can. There's multiple times we were all running around each other. I know I was running around Stroll a lot, and I know Chad was up there for a little bit before the pit stops. But yeah, just you want to try to do the best for everybody, but you don't want to try to put yourself in a spots where you can, like for example, get passed by Lariah there. We were trying our best to get to the high side and try to get rolling, and we could have pushed Stroll there, but I felt like our best opportunity to try to gain the spots and have an opportunity was to go 3 wide there and do something. We sent it in there, and I realized I probably should start braking a little bit more. And once we did that, Lariah got to the inside of us, and Stroll didn't really have anywhere to go, so he gave us a good bump. And then we were able to just have a drag race down to the line. So definitely appreciate Stroll for pushing me there. We DIR did pretty good tonight. We had a lot of cars up there in the top 10, so it's always nice to have just for team's sake, and hopefully we can keep that carried on to Old Atlanta, I believe, next week.
Old Atlanta, you're right about that. Coming up next, a 1.5-mile track here. So got this P2, still not a win, maybe a chance to go for that spot up.
Yeah, most definitely. I enjoy Old Atlanta. It's I haven't ran laps there in a couple months, but last time I heard the setup was pretty loose. So hopefully we can have ourselves a pretty good race and hopefully be one spot better.
Braxton Deweese, second place on the night here and a photo finish for the spot. Any final comments and shout outs you'd like to send?
Yeah, most definitely. Big shout out to Adrenaline Captures on the car. With the first race with them, we were able to have a good race and a good finish. So that's always nice to have. You can check out Adrenaline Captures on Facebook to get a little bit more information. They have the pricing over there, and they also have a Discord link over there that you could join. And once you get in that Discord, then you can, fill out whatever you want to fill out for whatever you're wanting to get. So big shout out to them over there at Adrenaline, as well as Three Dips Ice Cream Shop. When they open on Thursday, we're gonna go get some ice cream for a good second place finish. So we'll have Adrenaline on the car next week at Old Atlanta, but after that we'll have Three Dips on the car for multiple races. So hopefully we can carry the momentum from not only next week but to the Three Dips car as well and get a good finish in that after, like I said, at the P27 last week. But big shout out to them, as well as Allen's Arts Images, Business Public, James on Main, Deweese Renovations, Drilling Captures, like I said, Boot 34 Diecast, Short Track Report, Scrubbing Tires Media, Blaze Designs, Evan Pineda Designs, and Chance 3 Design Shop. Big shout out to Michael Stroh over there, Chance 3 Design Shop. He always does a pretty damn good job, in my opinion, on all the paint schemes that he puts out. He has a lot of attention to detail, and I really respect that and appreciate that. So I appreciate him. And Bullet All Coffee Company, you can use Brax5 for 10% off over there. I appreciate everybody that tuned into the broadcast. Looking forward to going back and watching it, as well as tuning into my live stream. We had ourselves a pretty good one. Hopefully we can keep it rolling. And, we got the championship last year. You just got to go one race at a time. But, that's the goal at the end of the season. Try to put ourselves in a good spot. Try to get as much points as we can. Playoff points are very important. Try to do that and see where it puts us at the end of the year.
Braxton Deweese, second place and bringing back that title-winning speed here to Fontana. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thanks, David. Have a good one.
And we're playing back this finish once again, and this time around we'll speak to the driver who finished third and perhaps our closest finish for any podium position here in the Integrity Racing League. Less than 1,000th the way it turned out, and Michael Araya, what a drive to even get up to the top 3 at the very end, but I'm sure you would have loved that extra spot.
Yeah, I was a little bit bummed I couldn't get that, but man, what a great battle there with Braxton. And boy, it got dicey with some of the lap cars there through the last corner, but good situational awareness by everybody to make it through there and, come up to the finish line for a really good battle.
And tonight, all came down to that long strategy. I know this is your first season with the Ignite series, but just to give you some context, since I think a lot of the viewers also weren't there for it, we went for a longer green flag run tonight with more drivers and less cautions, which I'm sure for you, well, it might have not come as a surprise, but it certainly was a workout inside the cockpit. So how'd you plan out your strategy, especially given we had 240 miles with it?
Yeah, as the race progressed, the field naturally started to get spread out a little bit, and then we got to that point where green flag pit stops were coming into play. And personally, that is my strong suit. As these races go on and we start getting in a rhythm, start logging laps, less cautions, that's really my strength. So I was able to hang just around the top 5 the second half of the race towards the end. And, just kind of set myself up to be in contention at least and be close. But for me, I've always had good luck just running as many laps as possible and running the car almost out of fuel. And that certainly comes into play at tracks like Auto Club where the tire wear is quite severe. So I was kind of just leaning on that strategy of, having the freshest set of tires at the end to try to make a charge. It certainly worked out to get myself a good finish tonight, but I don't think anybody had anything for Blake tonight. He was definitely kind of in his own zip code. So to get a podium is certainly great, especially this early in the season. And I'll be honest too, I haven't run this car in a while, so I'm still kind of refreshing myself with it. I personally feel like I have a little bit more work to do, especially compared to the Gen 4 car where I really felt at home with that. But I'm certainly glad to be back in this league, and it's just awesome to have a car count like this. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this on the oval side in a league before, and knowing how good of a job the admins do at running things. I mean, it's amazing that we had such good green flag runs with the car count we did. So really great start for the year so far, and I'm looking forward to more races.
Well, Michael Araya kicking things off strong in this number 44 for your rookie campaign on the Monday nights. Old Atlanta up next. If you have any final comments you'd like to send before we head there, the floor is yours.
Yeah, as always, got to thank my sponsor, Sim Speed Shop, for being on board the car. Going to thank my teammate, Sam Nieto, and the admins for Integrity Racing League, and of course, David, for you for always doing a good job with our broadcasts.
Michael Araya, third place on the day, and a photo finish to round out the top three. Thank you again for stopping by.
All right, thank you.
Araya on the move, and we've gotten a word from all of your top three tonight, and what a race it was. Excitement from the very beginning and a flag-to-flag performance. Great, of course, especially for your top three. Michael Araya coming in third, Braxton Deweese then coming in P2, and Blake Cannon getting the job done, winning from the Auto Club Speedway. Wrapping up tonight's coverage, we thank you again for tuning in to the exclusive action of Monday night's Integrity Ignite series. We'll be back with next week's coverage from the virtual Old Atlanta Motor Speedway, and of course tomorrow night when we see the Octane series take on the Atlanta Motor Speedway just a week in advance. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel from the virtual Auto Club Speedway, where tonight's action was hosted. Second race of the 2025 Ignite Series season. I'd like to, of course, congratulate race winner. Getting the job done tonight, number 27, Blake Cannon, and of course the rest of the podium in Braxton Deweese and Michael Araya for their performances, and can't wait to see you all next week for our next Ignite Series event. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching FTN Broadcasting. We hope you had a fantastic night.